Welcome back to the FACEIT Challenger Invitational, sponsored by Overwolf and DL Compare. I'm James Stress O'Leary. Alongside me is Richard Pulse Cam, and we are all the way into Game 3 of our semi-finals between SK Gaming Prime and Unicorns of Love.
And Unicorns of Love are looking very strong, even in the last game when they were being completely dominated by the Vayne and Zed, which I think is fair to say.
I think it's a weird way of trying to convey the point. Yeah, it's true.
Let me follow up on that.
Yeah, I'll let you follow up on that.
So when they were being sieged in, they still managed to pick up kills, and even when they were behind, they still did very well. They were finding trades which they really shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember, though, is SK distributed their kills very well.
Yeah.
They put kills on exactly who they needed to. That Vayne and Zed were just so aggressive, and we'll see whether they get banned out here, because we are into the picks and bans screen and phase for game number 3.
So Cast and Yasuo banned out. I think that's basically exactly the same.
I think that's 100% today, actually.
It is, yeah. Yasuo was actually followed by KO, or the other way around. So, I mean, it's slightly different. Like, they're mixing it up here, Stress, by banning out the same champion, but in a different order.
Yeah, I think most competitive... There's the KO. Most competitive games will have these banned out, and this is what I was kind of expecting. Was Zed is going to be banned out here. Now, they were faked out in game number 2. They picked Gragas, had Ziggs in response, and picked Zed, which is typically a tough lane for Ziggs, picked up in response. And now, Ziggs played the lane very well for the laning phase, but the problem is against a Zed, you can play the laning phase well against him, but as soon as he picks up 1 or 2 kills from anywhere on the map, he becomes potent.
You said they were faked out, but they picked up Zed, so it's more like fake it out, right?
Oh, dear.
You knew that was coming just as I started that sentence.
I knew that was coming. As soon as, yeah.
But last banner is going to be coming out soon from the purple team. That's going to be the Unicorns of Love. Being unicorns of many things this tournament. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that was.
I said that
either.
and I was like, what am I even talking about? It meant something.
Vi's been banned out. That's a talking point.
Yeah,
Vi has been a heavily contested pick recently, as has Elise. Both have seen a lot of bans. So 2 jungle bans to round out the pick and ban phase. 4 mid, 2 jungle.
And that's going to be Elise rounding that one out. So Elise is just one of those pretty standard junglers who are just good at jungling and doing pretty much everything in the jungle. Usually you have a jungler who like specializes in counter jungling or is specifically good at ganking, but Elise basically does everything. She counter ganks, she counter jungles, she trades with people, and she ganks very well. Yeah,
now let's look at our first picks here that are available. Gragas is available. SK could look to go for that Gragas pick and then swap it out into the jungle like they did in the previous game. I think that's one option. They are going to lock Gragas in first. He's been a heavily contested pick all weekend long as well, just for his consistency in lane. And now they're at a little bit of an advantage here for Unicorns of Love. They're on the red side, so they are able to counterpick their mid laner. So it means they can wait until the very last pick to determine who the mid lane is going to be on SK Prime, and they shouldn't get undone by any of those shenanigans in the swapping up.
So many times we've actually seen that happen. It's just like, well, that's not a favorable matchup for Gragas, so let's just send it into jungle or send it into top lane. And this time around, that won't happen. And we'll see exactly what they bring out. That might all be a premeditated Gragas jungle, and there's the hover over Nocturne.
I still can't see Nocturne and Thresh without thinking we're in a TSM game. Yeah. I mean, Nocturne, if it gets locked in, I'll continue this point. I like Nocturne as a champion.
Yeah.
And he's about to get locked in. Okay, so Nocturne as a champion is very straightforward. He doesn't do anything particularly flashy like Lee Sin would, or do any tricks, anything like that. He will get into lane. If he has to use his ultimate to do it, will do so. Will fear one target, spell shield off an ability, and use Duskbringer to catch up with his opponents. That's pretty much it.
Congratulations, you've learned Thresh.
You've learned Nocturne. If you're learning Thresh, that's completely wrong.
Yeah, if you played Nocturne then learned Thresh, then that's pretty impressive.
Where's my hook? No, no hooks on Nocturne. But that's about it. He's incredibly consistent and has good map control and map presence from being able to ultimate in from quite a distance away, but doesn't leave a lot of room for a mechanical player to look for outplays, and that's where he can become a little bit undone. Is he is incredibly predictable.
Yeah, he does the same thing well. But, we'll just have to see the right decision-making from Nocturne to make that happen.
So I think that's kind of fine against... I don't know specifically how it works against a potential Gragas jungle, but I think it's fine to pick something that's going to do what it's going to do when you don't know what the jungle is going to be. Very similar to how Renekton has been picked up here. They know that what Renekton is going to do in lane, so he's solid, and they picked him. Okay,
that's also going to be the Lulu follow-up, so... Not really giving too much away in the bot lane. At least we're going to have a more pokey support than we're used to. With Yashua being banned out, it's not going to be for that synergy, but it's just kind of like more of a placement pick just before they decide what they want as an AD carry, because Lulu synergizes with most AD carries.
Yeah, and they've picked up a Rengar here for the top lane as well to go against that Renekton. I quite like Rengar. He will have the sustain in the lane. Did have adjustments recently. They made it so you couldn't use 3 stacks of his ferocity on his Q, which, that was a bug that was quite along for quite a while. Yeah. So has been removed. Also adjusted a little bit of his kit with that as well. Should do okay against Renekton. Both will scale pretty well.
All right, so Jinx will be locked in alongside the Thresh. And then to follow up on that, that's going to be Caitlyn definitely locked in alongside the Lulu. So kind of more towards like the heavy engage lane versus the poke lane that we saw a lot in Season 3, but not so much in Season 4. And hello, Kha'Zix.
SK are playing a game where, and this is what I'd expect out of this, isn't Orianna, because so consistent, doesn't matter which of the two she's against, should be safe. SK are playing a game of we're going to pick 2 mid laners and one of them's going to go to the jungle and we're not going to tell you which one until we finished swapping. So we'll find out.
Musical champions.
Yeah, it's going to be musical champions for a while. Either way could be possible. Kha'Zix jungle is more common. But Gragas is like fine. We saw it in the previous game. Gragas jungle is fine.
Yeah, and as a result of that, it's a good thing that they picked up Orianna, because if they committed to a lane that would have not necessarily been good against Kha'Zix, which looks like it might be not 20 seconds, but they could just swap up again.
I have a feeling they're going to swap.
Yeah,
I really have a feeling they're going to swap here, as otherwise, unless Gragas is building full damage again, they may suffer if he starts to build tank with a full AD composition other than Lulu. We've got 3 seconds. Is there going to be a swap? Because that would be a rather mean thing to do. There's not going to be a swap. It's going to stay. Okay. Right. So it is going to be the Gragas jungle again, which worked pretty well in the last game and also is sportsmanlike, because that would be mean to do. And in fact, you're not allowed to do that in an LCS. You're not allowed to swap at the last minute. So good on you for not swapping SK Prime, because I would have been a little bit mad, but that doesn't matter. I'm a caster.
Yeah, we don't matter too much.
We're all the way over here in the FACEIT studio.
Exactly.
Anyway.
We can't fly over and mess them up. I mean, you can't tell right now, but Stress is quite a big guy. About 17 foot tall, I think.
Take that how you will. But we're here in the FACEIT studio in Milan.
I can't believe
for the FACEIT Challenger Invitational here, sponsored by Overwolf and DL Compare. Make sure on the Twitch page you check out the link that we have got for DL Compare. There's a little bit of a giveaway form to fill in when you follow that link. It's only a short form, so make sure you get that filled in. They'll be giving away some games this weekend as well, so make sure you get that filled in. You can see DL Compare's lovely logo behind us
timing
on the screen. I know, wow, that worked out brilliantly, didn't it?
Such timing.
As we said, there's my next segue. We're in the FACEIT studio.
Smooth.
Have you checked out the FACEIT platform?
You should check out the FACEIT platform, because we have a promotional code over this weekend, because League of Legends is now available on the FACEIT platform.
And it appeared on the screen as if by magic.
Yeah, it's not like we have producers in that window next to us.
I'm glad we do, otherwise this would have been derailed a long time ago.
Absolutely, especially with us casting. But if you want to enter that on the website, you'll have a one month's premium. I was going to say week, but it's a whole month that you get a premium for all of that extra content on the tournaments, on what you can play in. Some of the tournaments are free, some of them are premium, and then some of the prizes in the shop as well. So
there's a lot of tournaments there. League of Legends has just become available on the FACEIT platform, as the FACEIT platform went live for everybody. It previously was in beta. Also, Quake and Counter-Strike Global Offensive are available, so whichever game takes your fancy. However, we're obviously promoting League of Legends.
Yeah,
because
we're League of Legends casters. But it doesn't matter how good you are at any of these games, there's always going to be a bracket for you. You can be the best bronze player in the world, you can be the best platinum player, but you'll still be able to earn those points.
Yeah, and there's a lot of awesome prizes that are available on the FACEIT platform. Everything from keyboards, headsets, mice, everything you need to play the game, to everything you need to get to where you want to be to play the game, because there's a car being given away as one of the top, as the top prize for FACEIT platform.
It's pretty good. Just playing video games, pick up a car. Not a big deal. It is 5 million points then. Put that in perspective, I believe the headset's like around 40,000. So you could get a lot of headsets. You could be like, well, I could get this car, or I could get like 100 headsets.
I don't know how many ears you'd need to be able to use but that's quite a lot of headsets.
I mean, why would you need that many headsets? I mean, how many orifices are you going to cover with that headset?
Not too sure. We're in the loading screen, so I think we should switch focus back to the game at hand, because we're headed into game number 3 here between SK Gaming Prime and Unicorns of Love. God, I'm trying to get away from that. Whew, that word is so difficult to fit into a cast. And we are into the loading screen. It magically appears behind us. And there's some, not obscure champions. Champions we haven't seen in a little while in this game.
Obscure.
See, now, obscure to me means that nobody's ever going to pick them. It just... they're uncommon in the current meta.
Yeah.
Nocturne is uncommon in the current meta.
That's true.
And seeing him in this game, I quite like Nocturne. It's a champion that, again, is very linear in the way he plays. But to be honest, anybody wanting to improve in jungle, just play Nocturne Xin Zhao for like all of your ranked games. And the champion...
end up in Bronze 5.
Well, the champion doesn't require a lot.
No, it doesn't.
But does everything
well.
Not
in terms of mechanical skill, but in terms of decision-making, which is 90% of jungling.
But, everyone says that it's just their team. So as long as you're making good decisions, then your mechanics don't matter.
But it doesn't matter. If you're on solo queue, you still get blamed as the jungler. So, it doesn't matter how well you decide whether to go in or not. But we are going to be onto the rift between SK Gaming and Unicorns of Love. Let's see who wins this third and final game of this best of 3 in the semi-finals, and whoever wins this game will be facing down the winners of NYM versus NYP. NIP.
That would be a big merger.
And it was NIP.
It was NIP. NIP took that one 2-0.
Yeah, they did. It was pretty convincing as well. They were pretty slow games, but they were convincing games. And they definitely won that one out against NYM. So, now on to the rift. All these guys are just going to fan out and play a pretty passive early game.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot in every single region. Pretty much, as Rivington likes to call it, the line of scrimmage has been set to begin this game. Not too surprising. We've talked about before how the changes to vision in the patch and the changes to bottom lane, specifically on supports, has reduced early game warding. We see already Doran shields out on both supports, and really not a game goes by that at least one of the two supports has a Doran shield. Typically both do recently. So it's just a case of you can't get those early wards out, so it's far more deadly to go for a level 1 engagement.
And typically it's going to be the top laners with Doran shields as well, and sometimes even the mid laners, and sometimes even the AD carries. Well, no, not the AD carries, but sometimes...
That wouldn't be the best.
No, it wouldn't. If they were in a very difficult lane, perhaps, but even nowadays, if you just have like a Vayne versus a Caitlyn, you're going to go for that, but that's going to be Lulu and Caitlyn just exchanging emotes in the bot lane.
And you can see just, again, defensive stats out by both teams.
Okay, so Exile is running the Kha'Zix. We've got the Alien versus Predator thing going on in this game.
Yes.
But I don't think that works in tournament draft, though.
No, sadly, I don't think it does.
No. But it would be pretty neat. I don't think it upsets the game too much where that would be a bad thing. Because you'd have the interesting version like, wow, it's picking a Rengar into a Kha'Zix or vice versa.
I don't know. We might find that out, actually. But the thing about it is, Kha'Zix just has a way better time with it. Because... and if it's not relevant to this game, apologies, guys, but Kha'Zix, as soon as he gets the kill, just gets the 4th evolution, whereas Rengar has to have a bone tooth necklace.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's even on who gets the benefit of the doubt on that one.
But the bone tooth necklace fully stacked, it's pretty good.
It is, but it means you have to have invested gold in it previously. We did see a bone tooth necklace yesterday.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting gameplay. However, what's interesting gameplay is Exile is moving on to Zodiaz, who is definitely not Rengar, but he'll still pick up that kill. but it means you could like pick up the Bone Tooth necklace and then all group up and go for a fight.
Sorry, I just thought of definitely not Rengar as a skin.
Definitely not Rengar. Who would that be?
I don't know. Maybe
Who
just
could
the
dress up
same
as?
trench coat. Either that or like Annie. Or
Yeah.
somebody like...
Completely the opposite of Rengar.
It's just a Teemo hat.
Yes. Yeah, as dressing up as Teemo, that would be so incredibly good. But Savannah gets hooked in the bot lane. The Flame Chompers come out. Six is trying his best to put himself in between the enemies and his AD carry and will successfully save him. But that's a lot of damage on the Caitlyn.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, the lane is fairly even from the fact that CS is the same. You'd expect that a Caitlyn is able to farm. You can see as well up in the top lane, Mozilla getting the best of these early trades out on Renekton, but it's only a matter of time before Vizicachi starts being able to sustain himself up further and further and gets the itemization to be able to compete a little bit better in that lane.
In most lane matchups, Renekton will just win like the first couple of levels because he's Renekton, but when it gets another couple levels on top of that, then Vizicachi will start to win out. And we saw that on Monday, when we'll see it on Rengar as well.
Very similarly to Vi, Nocturne's ganks pre-6 are kind of lackluster without expending flash, but Zodiaz is in trouble.
The Ignite comes down and the barrier to keep himself healthy. I don't think the Ignite's going to be enough. It dropped him very low. I didn't actually catch the HP on that, but I would have assumed it was below 10.
Yeah, after barrier timed out, it looked like it would have put him sub 10 health, and that's just the way the minions attack in lane is the difference between living or dying in that engagement.
Mozilla hanging around the top lane. Perry is in the bush, lying in wait against the Predator. We'll see who becomes the hunted. It's going to be Vizicachi heating himself up using that Ferocity Battle Roar, and Gragas gets a bit bored and takes a drink. Common pastime.
Yeah, he's not really able to find his footing there, but Nocturne's ganks pre-6 are a little bit lackluster. However, Gragas' aren't.
He's found his liquor. He's also found Rengar. That's going to be first bird. Slice and Dice comes out. Mozilla is still very healthy after picking up that kill.
And this is one of the first times we're seeing Unicorns of Love getting pushed in quite hard in the early game. SK Prime seem to have found their footing here in this game. They've got a slight lead to begin this one with that first blood. But Unicorns of Love have just got to make sure they keep these lanes even and keep themselves in this game.
They are being pushed back, as you mentioned, but only slight CS advantage. The only major thing on this map so far has been that kill on the top lane, and Renekton is building towards the tier map, which makes sense specifically against the Rengar.
Now, we're going to reach a point where this game becomes a lot more active. Master Sheepy has been farming up because he's not able to get into lane quite as easily. As soon as he has Paranoia available, that's when we look for the first ganks out of a Nocturne. He becomes very potent at that point and is nearly there. He's level 5, working through the rest of his jungle. So it's only a matter of time before he makes an appearance. But here's Gragas in mid.
Making another appearance, that's the barrel coming down. The barrel roll, no level 6 ultimate from him just yet, but I believe Master of CP will hit the level 6 before Gragas since he's been farming so often.
He should indeed. I think this Wraith the white may be enough to take him up to level 6.
Let's take a look.
He will lose quite a bit of health off that, but we'll figure that out in due time. Zodiaz in trouble again.
Yeah, Exile looks for this kill, jumps forwards. This is a huge commitment, and the 1-for-1 was what he had to go for in the end.
Exile knew there was no flash or barrier available for Orianna, so really just decided to all in there, but had to expend his life for it. I wonder whether he would have been better off just not getting that, although that now helps his build come forward as well. And Kha'Zix needs those early kills to scale.
And Rengar still trading off against Mozilla and is getting ground down. That's level 5 versus level 6. We won't have his ultimate to get out of that one. And he's actually maxing Battle Roar because this lane isn't going his way. Usually you max Q.
Yeah, he just wants that extra sustainability in lane to be able to stay in lane against Mozilla. Renekton will fight Rengar pretty handily in the early game, so until Vizicachi can go back and pick up the items, he's going to struggle a little bit.
Definitely will be the case. That's going to be Nocturne heading around the sides. He got that level 6, but now his Alessang again drags Zavan back into his AD carry. He's not quite able to pick up the kill, but Alessang has maybe gone too far forwards and will be punished. Going to have to jump back to the turret. 6 actually picks up the kill with help picks. And that will be going down in the bot lane. SK looking way better in this game.
Really nice engagement there. They knew that they'd been hooked in and would have to take quite a bit of damage there, but survived through it and were able to turn it around. That was a really nice flash forward into help picks. Knew the damage on Lulu there.
So Mozilla takes another couple of tower shots, but Master of Sheepy, he has Paranoia available to him, but he's just been kind of kept in the top lane. And Jinx, apparently that really hurt, but Six is going to jump past the turret, and this will definitely hurt. Zavan walks straight past the flame child, but that increased arm time means he won't be locked down. Six, even those minions are going to have to be tanked up by Zavan. There goes the hook, doesn't quite connect, and these guys escape, picking a bug for those bot laners.
Vanillan and Six are doing a great job of picking their engagements, and SK Prime are really on top of this game. They've picked up the blue buff, may even look towards Dragon, but they don't quite know where Master of Sheepy is. That's a lot that they've just taken from the map there, and SK Prime have a good lead here.
Yeah, Paranoia into a shockwave is not what you want when you're trying to take Dragon when you're all kind of in that one space. So that's one of the reasons why they're going to back off. So it looks like Nocturne's actually heading towards hold that point, because Perry has found himself Sheepy, who has a lot of damage available to him. Paranoia's been popped, cuts the vision, doesn't decide to jump in. He knows exactly where Kha'Zix is. And now in the top lane, Vixachi is just getting absolutely punted around by Mozilla.
Master of Sheepy couldn't spell shield anything there. He used spell shield when it was already too late and the whole combo had been used, so it timed out and he risked getting engaged upon. I have to feel that that's why he used Paranoia, to try and disengage, but Zodiaz is in trouble again.
Another gank comes in. They don't have the huge explosive cast, but it's not even needed. Exile picks yet another kill up onto Orianna.
SK Prime looking far better in this game than they did even in the previous game. They're getting quite far ahead now. 2,000 gold is the lead, 5 kills to 1. It's only a matter of time before they start turning that into objectives, unless Unicorns of Love can start doing something about that.
Orianna has picked up the Tear of the Goddess, which is a build that we saw that was very similar to the Ziggs. And again, because he's against an AD-based champion, that's the build he's going to be going for. But definitely feel like he needs to go for that Seeker's Arm Guard just a little bit sooner, since, well, he's 2 kills down and needs to just try and survive through this lane.
Yeah, he needs a little bit more survivability, and it's a long time until Seraphs. There's a disengage in the bottom lane, and it looks like Varags and Hylasang don't want to trade anymore in this lane. We've seen them very confident in previous games, but they've had the raw end of the deal twice in a row in this bottom lane.
All of these lanes are actually being pushed back from Unicorns of Love, and I think that's very different from basically all of the other games we've seen from this team. They're usually ahead in the laning phase, and their lanes aren't weak either. They're not lanes you would expect to be completely outclassed by their opponents.
I feel like their team composition for this point in the game is just not quite working to their strengths. I know that seems strange when you look at a Jinx Thresh, but Nocturne wasn't able to have any impact in the bottom lane. There was no way of getting their explosive cask in the mid.
Comes down and doesn't manage to really hit his mark, but the barrel roll will. And Master of Sheepy looks to try and follow up into Perry. He was completely out of mana. Exile just offers the Void Spikes, and Physics actually comes in from the top lane and walks into the bush so he doesn't embarrass himself before he comes out of stealth.
Yeah, he's heading back up to the top, but that's too late. The top tower should fall here to Renekton, and I feel like the Nocturne pick in this composition just gives away too much in the early game to these lanes. And SK are pushing hard into the bottom turret as well, and this could be 2 at the same time here for SK Prime.
Rengar heads up into the top lane, just going to be hanging around in that bush. They might be able to collapse onto the Renekton, and that's exactly what they're going to attempt. But in the bot lane, though, the Glitch lands onto Vardags. The Dark Passage comes through. It's going to be blocked by Hylissang. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Zodiaz takes so much damage from Exile, who's picked up his Brutalizer on top of the pickaxe.
And now they push in towards the middle turret. Exile flashes forward for the kill.
Mozilla pops Dominus, moves on to Vizixachi, doesn't have his ultimate, Slice comes in, looks for the dice as well, pins him down that roof of the Predator, that extra damage, and the interaction with Tierman puts out a ton of damage onto Vizixachi, who moves back to the turret, and that's going to be Nocturne heading up there, but they forfeit the Dragon for that pleasure.
SK Gaming are way ahead at this point, and they're all over the map. There's no way that Unicorns of Love can really stop SK Gaming right now, because Nocturne just has no effect on the game. All he's been doing is farming, and that's really all you can do on Nocturne. And that's what we were saying about it being a very linear champion, that if your opponents start getting ahead, it's difficult to do anything special to get back into the lead.
He doesn't do anything else, and Hylissang has been caught out. The Paranoia comes in. The Spell Shield also comes up, but they don't choose to go into this engage. Everyone just kind of hangs around the mid lane once again. 6-1 is the current scoreline. 5k ahead is going to be the team of SK Gaming Prime, and 2 towers as well. They're just commanding this game in every other field.
And you look at Vizicachi on this Rengar, and he had the counter pick in that lane. Renekton was picked up before Rengar, and they chose this expecting Rengar to be able to withstand the Renekton lane, but very similarly to what we've seen Vizicachi do to his opponents in the previous games, Renekton's just coming out ahead, and there's no way that Rengar's been able to deter him from farming in that lane, and there's just a big CS difference already between the two.
It's not very often you see 2 Tiamats on the team.
No, it isn't. I was thinking that, actually.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, we do think alike, great minds and all that. Well,
yeah?
I wouldn't. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so into the team of Unicorns of Love, just trying to command or try and make sure they keep track of all their buffs. That's a huge death sentence over the wall. Lands on the Exile, drags them back during the leap. They should surely pick up this kill, but Hylissang was sitting right in front of Zavalion for the entire team fight, and will be taken up as well for a 1-for-1 trade, but support from the mid laner, they'll take it.
Zodiaz has almost no damage right now. I don't know whether you saw how much damage Shockwave did, but it was between 1 and 200 for an ultimate. That's a minimal amount of damage right now. All they're relying on is the pull-in utility, and that won't do too much in these small engagements. They need to get more items onto Orianna, but building for Tear of the Goddess builds for such a big late game that going Zhonya's Hourglass next and Seeker's Armguard first, which she had to, is delaying damage by so much in this game that I don't know whether Zodiaz, apart from that utility, can become relevant at the rate that SK is shutting this out.
He's not gonna get the gold to itemize any damage for a long time, and Perry is just putting down the pressure. Master Sheepy heads around the side, but as he said, he's a very linear champion. Most people can get away from that tether unless he actually goes in at the right time, and they've already used their escape. So SK just back off, pick a middle turret, firmly ahead in this game. 7-2, 3 and 0 in the towers.
Now, Unicorns of Love are at a stall point here. When all 3 outer towers are down and Dragon isn't available, there's not a lot for an offensive team to do other than try and push a tower. And provided you're defending at a good pace and you have a solid team composition, you can defend the inner towers fairly easily at this point in the game. Regardless of SK's gold lead right now, Unicorns of Love are in a position to defend this fairly well.
They are, and they have some pretty decent wave clear. Orianna chains in with Jinx with just the AoE damage from Mr. Fishbones. It's going to be enough to just clear out those waves, at least for the short term.
Yeah,
until they start dying.
The problem with this is the explosive cask into Exile's damage should be enough to get the reset for the first time. And as soon as you get the first reset, then that's not good for the team fight. Shockwave has been used.
It comes in, does a little bit more damage to Perry, but again, not all that much. It did do a negligible amount of damage.
And that's a really big defensive ability because it's not going to tie somebody up under the tower aggro. And you can see Svanillan already pushing down into this bottom lane. Caitlyn using the range to her advantage and can't quite get the turret yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Fast rotate at least takes it down to half, and well, that damage is going to stick. It's not an inhibitor turret. They won't start regenning, and they don't have a Heimerdinger either. It's actually down to 1/3 HP, so did way better than I initially thought. Now the siege comes in from SK. They may not be able to clear it on time. They in fact will be. So as long as they have that stack there, they're going to be good to go. But Civilian, as much as he can, Zvizix actually, just let's see who picks up this golem. It's going to be someone. They stacked on top of each other. I think it was Mozilla.
Yeah, it was Mozilla. The green particle effect went on to the Renekton. Yeah. But I don't know whether this tower is worth fighting over here for Unicorns unless they can pick up.
Gets caught. The Death Sentence comes in with the box. He has cut off the rest of the team. That's 1 kill onto Exile. Huge Gragas barrel completely splits everyone up and displaces the whole team. Hylissang is again going to die for the Exile kill. And Zavelian's going to be the one to pick that one up. Gragas barrel comes across. And the ace in the hole. No one's going to block that. Master of Sheepy was tempted.
Yeah, he was tempted, but unless Spell Shield was available, it would have cost him his life.
Yeah.
But the thing about that fight, and I started to say it and didn't quite have enough time, is I don't know whether that tower was worth fighting for unless Unicorns of Love get the perfect engage and clear the entirety of the SK Gaming squad that were there without losing anything too much. Because if they lost that turret and lost the fight, they almost certainly would have lost an inhibitor too.
If Zavan had only kept hold of his ultimate, he would have found himself a kill on FACEIT, who did jump back in, just used that battle roll onto Mozilla, and the hook comes through, but it's up a net instead of a kick.
Yeah, all it did was fish for nets. So
yeah, I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but I wasn't saying it.
Yeah, there's some joke
Nami?
in there, but yeah, Nami may have been caught in that, but
Yeah.
hopefully not. That's it's an issue for Greenpeace. However, I don't know whether they exist
In the animal RSPCA, I guess, the one for England.
However, we are in game. So
Save the ring,
3-0 save the ring. 3-0-1 on Caitlyn with 30 CS over her lane opponent. Puts them in a pretty good standing here. Caitlyn's going to scale pretty well. That's another dragon down. That is going to be the second of the game there for SK Gaming. Prime 8 kills to 3. They have a big advantage over Unicorns of Love, and we've not really seen Unicorns in this point in the game. 6 is enough to deter Sleepy as the rest of the team are turning around.
He's on Nocturne. He just walks towards people, and if they can walk away, then they've won.
Yeah. That's pretty much how Nocturne works. I mean, as a ball delivery system, he's great because he takes... using Paranoia, he gets into the back line, and it's pretty much impossible to stop him, but for most other aspects of the game where you need a jungler right now in the current meta, it just doesn't fit.
Sometimes the ball delivery system doesn't even work. If he's out of position and the ball isn't already on him, then he could sometimes get away from Zodiaz and he wouldn't ever be able to land the ball for Command Protect into Command Shockwave. So that is sometimes an issue. Not as reliable as Vi, and very different champion to Vi in all aspects.
The thing Vi wasn't available in this game, so I mean it's kind of a moot point. But again, I feel like the playstyle of Nocturne, while it is somewhat similar to Vi, that both champions pretty much do the same thing, I just feel like Nocturne doesn't offer too much.
Outside of just initiating, not really. And he's kind of supplemented that by going for a Spirit of the Elder Lizard. But that's not really done anything either. It's kind of the same thing like we saw the Pantheon earlier, who was going for damage to make that work. But if FACEIT jumps in, there's the ball delivery system. They should be able to get the kill onto Exile. He actually gets out with a sliver of HP. FACEIT gets knocked up by Lulu ultimate, and now they just have to retreat back to turret. No casualties for either team. Mozilla gets pulled into them, and the Flay comes out. FACEIT has already expended most of his tankiness, uses Battle Roar, keep him healthy as he drags it back to turret. Hiddesign lands another death sentence, but they just do not have the damage behind him.
Mozilla is so strong right now that he tanked so much damage. It looks like Svanillan gets caught there, as does Mozilla, but I don't know whether they can go for round 3, them being Unicorns of Love. They're so low that they have to fall back, and again, I wonder whether this tower is even worth fighting over by the fact that top and bottom lane are still pushing in towards them.
And in any other situation, if this was an even game, Halisang landing 4 hooks in a row would have resulted in a one team fight. But at this stage, it doesn't even result in one single kill. The AD carry of Caitlyn is an entire item over Jinx. I don't think she's gone back yet. She's probably got a bit of God to play with. But at the moment, an entire Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, and that's going to really affect these fights. There's just so much more damage is going to come out from Svanillan. And now it'll result in another turret here. Only 2 members have come to defend. SK aren't aware that it is 3 members, sorry. And there is a 4th rotating, but without being aware, they don't want to overstep. They know how important this game is. They need to be able to take down Unicorns of Love here to close this series out.
Bone Tooth Necklace has been picked up by Rengar.
Yeah.
And that's not a pickup because he's necessarily ahead. It seems to be a pickup that's like, I hope we get kills. And if we do, then at least it's going to benefit me in some way.
I think one of the things is Rengar in recent times hasn't been... well, he was in the meta before the bugs were discovered, and then everybody kind of just took him out of the meta by the fact that he wasn't allowed in tournaments. So it's one of those things that I'm trying to cast my mind back and see whether Bone Tooth Necklace was the standard on Rengar. It's a very specific item that works very similar to Medjay Soul Stealer. And I just wonder what the reasoning here for. What levels are we at? So we're nowhere near to level 16, so they're not trying out the quest that is embedded in the game that I don't believe it's enabled in Tournament Draft.
I've started to think about skin ideas for Rengar now that we spoke about that earlier. And definitely not Rengar as one. I was thinking Hello Kitty Rengar would be pretty amazing. I would love to see that. It's like a moat could just be like a waving paw. Either way, Rengar, please save the Rengar. Donate today. He's going to be not in good shape. He's used his ultimate, but he's still not in stealth for another couple seconds, and he's dead.
Yeah, Rengar gets taken out there.
Alien wins.
Yeah, the alien apparently beats the Predator. But however...
Solve that case.
Well, as long as you didn't watch the movies, I think it's fine. So... It's one of these situations where SK just got a pick, and they're going to follow this up with another turret. It's difficult for Unicorns of Love here to close this gap here between the two teams. It's nearly 10,000 gold, and this could be another bad team fight.
Pinned against the wall is going to be Zodiaz. To see if they can finish off. Civilian's going to do that. Hilisang will be jumped on for the next reset. Vardax is still throwing down the auto attacks. It's just not enough at this stage. The top tower is surely going to fall, and they have cracked that inner shell of Unicorns of Love. They have been repelled from the inhibitor, but they're quite happy just to leave that exposed.
I mean, Nocturne picked up a mid turret during that as well, but an inhibitor turret for an outer mid turret is nowhere near a close trade. That is almost polar opposites of turrets you want to trade at all. So it's just every time Unicorns of Love are getting anything in this game, SK are getting more, and that has to stop happening, and it has to have stopped happening a good 5 minutes ago, because SK are just taking so much off the map that Unicorns aren't getting to an itemization point where they can really fight this.
They need to find that point over the rainbow, and they're just not finding it.
And I don't think you found the joke there either. I'm just going to be honest.
But Dragon is going to be a consolation prize, but consolation prize not for Baron, but for the entire game, which looks like what it's going to be.
Yeah, this is a difficult point to be in for Unicorns of Love here, because they haven't been this far behind in the tournament yet. And I mean, coming down to the last game of the tournament for them to be potentially in, if this game does continue in the fashion that it feels like it is going in, if this were to be their last game, it would be the only game that they significantly were behind in. So whether they can shed this game and, you know, come back into it and really make an impact, which is going to be difficult because they aren't rotating in time. They might have SK trapped.
They're going to go for this team fight. Mozilla zoning away 3 people by himself. Master CP jumps in, is promptly eliminated by Exile, who gets that reset. Will have the leap in. There's the flash into the leap. Zodiaz is quick on the trigger, but instantly gets taken down by the Piltover. Vardags gets taken down. Vizigsachi is quick to follow. That's going to be the 4-1, and soon to be the ace. The inhibitor falls, and this is most likely going to be the game in a third game of this best-of-3 series. Pretty SK Gaming Prime taking this against Unicorns of Love, and what a series and what a showing from Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, they had a great series yesterday against Cloud9 and looked very competitive in game number 1, but SK Prime showing us how they knocked out Triple LOL yesterday, and also from the Riot Challenger League, and why they were picked up by SK Gaming as well, because they have closed this series out 2-1 here in our second semi-final for the FACEIT Challenger Invitational.
Indeed, and they're going to be facing down Ninjas in Pyjamas, and again, SK versus NIP, not a matchup that would be out of place of the LCS last season.
Indeed, as this is SK Gaming Prime, so it's not the LCS. SK Gaming, but still the organization as a name is rather large in European esports. So that is a fantastic final that we have coming up for you very shortly here from the FACEIT Challenger Invitational. I think it's about time to head to a break as we prepare ourselves.
Gear up for it.
Yeah, we need to get ourselves ready for our grand finals as well, because that is sure to be an amazing best-of-3 series. It will be coming up fairly shortly here for the FACEIT Challenger Invitational.